What's up, guys? This is Dexter with Russo's Reptiles, and today we are going to be talking about heating and humidity for your boas and boa enclosures. So today we're going to use Grinch as our example. What's up, Grinch? So boas are ectothermic animals, which means they're cold-blooded. Ectothermic means that they have no means of warming themselves or maintaining their internal body temperature on their own. So they use things from the outside, such as sunlight or, hot ground, or they'll get on a rock. They'll find a way to use an outside source to raise their internal body temperature to what they need it to be. So my own personal experience with my boas tend to stay on the cool side of their enclosures, which is where Grinch is coming from right now. She's a little curious. Yeah, my boas like to hang out on the cold side, and I've read, several other people on the forums, Facebook, all that, boas generally like to hang out on the cool side, but they come over here to the warm side after a meal. The heat, like I said, helps regulate their internal temperature, but it also helps with digestion. They do need the heat to properly digest. I'm trying to keep an eye on her. She's getting curious. Yeah, basically as soon as they have a meal, they come from where she's at right now, and then they make their way into their hide, and they hang out there until they're done. They'll go in there for anywhere from 2 to 3 days, a week. But yeah, normally, like I said, they hang out on the cold side, they eat a meal, they come hang out over here to digest, warm up. You must allow for a proper heat gradient in your enclosures. So from my hot side to the cold side, it's about a 10-degree difference. You must allow that heat gradient so the boa can choose what it needs. If it needs to cool down, it go to the cold side. If it needs to warm up or to help digest, it go to the hot side. The boa knows what it needs. Your job is to provide that temperature gradient for them to be able to choose what they need. Alright, so for general heating parameters for your boas, you want to have on your hot side here anywhere from 85 to 90 degrees, and normally your hot spot you want somewhere between 90 and 95. You should have a basking spot, which is the hottest spot in your enclosure, at 90 to 95. I try to aim for 92 degrees. That's what I like. 92 degrees for your hot spot. Your hot side, 85 to 90. Your cold side should be around 80 degrees. Some say 75 to 85. I think 75 is too low, but you should definitely never dip below 75. Mine's normally around 80, 82. Like I said, you get that 10-degree difference. 92 on the hot spot, 90-ish in the hot zone, 80, 82. So those parameters are more for your general single pet, single boa, non-breeder boas in captivity. Your breeders, which I'm sure they already know this, they're going to be checking localities, they're going to be checking weather patterns from that location. They're going to be going, okay, well, this is the rainy season, or this is the dry season, this is the cold season, the hot season. I need to raise my temperature and follow the natural weather patterns from that area so I can, mimic or trigger a breeding response, which, that's what breeders do. We're not talking about that right now. That's a little more complicated, like me trying to say it. We're just doing general, like I said, single boa or even multiple boa, just general boa care here. This is to keep your boas in captivity that aren't breeding, give them the proper gradient for them to choose what they want, so they can thrive and be happy. Okay, so reasons you don't want to go over 95 on your hot side. You start getting too hot, you're gonna start seeing boas doing flips and loop-de-loops and heads upside down and all kind of crazy stuff. And I've seen videos of it before on these Facebook groups, and the first comment, or at least in the first three, it's always gonna be somebody going, "It's IBD. They've got IBD. They've got snake aids." No, they don't. More than likely, you just overheated your animal because you weren't properly maintaining the heat in the enclosure. And prolonged exposure to this overheating will cause neurological issues, sometimes permanent issues, and even death. So it's very important that we don't overheat our boas. So we don't really want to go any hotter than 95. Going over 100 will cause these issues. Like I know sometimes up here I do have a little area, you know, she wants to climb, that will get a little hotter because of the black, but it also helps hold the humidity in here, and I'll get into humidity at the end of this. But yeah, we want to make sure we don't go over 100 because we don't want our boas overheating. Now at the same token, we don't want our boas getting too cold, which is why I said don't want to go below 75. Now BI is a lot more hardy than your BC or your true red tails, your boa constrictors. BIs can handle dipping below 75. You know, a lot of them have mixed blood with the commons in the pet trade, and their range is so vast that their temperature ranges are a little bit more forgiving than the BC. But even still, you don't want to dip below 75 because then you start affecting humidity, and then you can start getting into respiratory issues, and your snakes will just become slow over a period of time. It's just not good for them. They need to maintain their body temperature. Yeah, so don't go below 75. Try to stay around 80 on your cold side. All right, so now we're going to talk about the things, you know, the tools to help maintain this heat. And I think I've gone over this before in a video, prior video, but I'm trying to get really in depth on, well, I say in depth, but it's really more general heating. But I'm trying to get, you know, a little more specific on things. So in this enclosure, this is an Animal Plastics T8. It is a 4x2x1. I have an 80-watt radiant heat panel. I could probably get away with having a 40-watt, but then I would have to use full power to heat this enclosure. I oversized my heat panel, and my thermostat and my heat panel don't have to work as hard to keep the same temperatures in this size enclosure. So you need some kind of a heating element, whether it be flex watt or a heat pad or under tank heater or a radiant heat panel. For this type of enclosure, the radiant heat panel, in my opinion, is the best way to go. Radiant heat panel. Another thing you're going to need, thermostats. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Anyway, thermostat. Now we're working off of a Herpstat 4. I love Herpstats. I have several of them. All my big cages or enclosures are running off this Herpstat 4. This thing on top right here is a sensor push gateway. This allows me to use my sensor push sensors to monitor humidity and temperatures on my phone anywhere in the world. It uses the Wi-Fi from the house and boost it out so I can get readings and stuff. It lets me know, like right now, you can see this is a little dry. I need to spray this down. My humidity's low. But you need thermostats. Now if you're looking, you can see it says 86. That's not really what the temperature is in there. That's what the thermostat is picking up here. My probe's down here. But you need a thermostat, you need your heat panel, and then you need this to help monitor and calibrate your thermostat. So like I said, you want to get 92, about 86, 87, there we go, 90, cold side, 82. So what you do is you take this, you hold it to your desired temperature. If it's not there, then you adjust your thermostat up or down until you reach that temperature. It's just a simple calibration. I know that can be a little confusing for some people that are just getting into it, but yeah, that's how you do it. You have to have those three things. Now, you don't really need a fancy digital thermometer gun, but it definitely helps when getting your stuff dialed in. And you want to be dialed in. You want to be on the right numbers. And you're all over the place. I'm bugging you, huh? So yeah, you need some kind of heating element, a thermostat to control that heating element, and you need some type of tool to calibrate that heating element or that thermostat. So I'm not going to get as in-depth with humidity on this, but humidity and your heat definitely tie in. Obviously, the warmer it is in your enclosure, with the more moisture in there, the higher the humidity will be. You have your moisture in the enclosure, the heat evaporates the water, you get steam in the air, thus you have humidity. So you want to try to keep between 65 and 75. At least that's what I try to stay. You'll read others that go 80. Depending on the species, some will go as high as 90. I tend to keep my boa constrictors a little higher than my BIs, but that's just me. Do your own research. But 65, 75 seems to be the general exception, or the accepted rate there. As you can see, it's dry in here. I need to spray it down. I need to spray all of them down, really. But humidity helps with shedding. Also helps with digestion. Helps keep respiratory issues down. They're from wet climates. Not all of them, but you know, generally, like your boa constrictors are going to be more from a rainforesty area. BIs are going to have a wide variety of places. Are you hiding from me? I know. But yeah, you want to keep humidity, like I said, between 65 and 75. So I used to have branches in here. I'm working on that and putting them back in. They have little like perch areas here, but the branches were nice because they would climb on them. But since I keep my humidity more around 75%, that's the mold point. The mold point's right around 75, 76. My branches were molding. Same thing with substrate. You don't want a substrate that's going to mold. I use Eco Earth or coconut husk. So the branches will come back. I'm trying to find like a clear poly that doesn't have that won't put off like a chemical smell, or if it gets hot it won't put off fumes. And I'm gonna paint or seal those branches so they won't mold. And like I said, the mold point's right around 75%, and about every 2 or 3 days I was having to take them out and clean them and spray them down with chemicals, and it was more trouble than it was worse. And I think it was probably better in the long run just to take them out until I can come up with something. But you want to make sure your substrate can handle whatever your humidity is. Like I said, 65 to 75%. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's heating and humidity. You're gonna have to get some kind of a meter for your humidity as well. They have the cheap ones at Walmart. I don't really like them. I definitely don't like the analog ones. If you're gonna get one, at least get a digital one, but do realize that if it gets too wet in there or too much moisture, you're probably gonna mess it up. which is why I went with the sensor push. They're waterproof, so I don't have to worry about them getting wet and not working. And I can see my temperature and my humidity anywhere. So yep, so this is heating and humidity. Remember, heating element, heating control, tool to calibrate your control. And you want to have your 92, your 90. You know, of course it's not going to work now, but y'all get the picture. Your 92s, 91s, and the hot spots, and your 10-degree difference, your temperature gradient here. That's what you want to have. Alright guys, thanks for listening.